Hello, everyone. I want to talk with you about AI, artificial intelligence. And in fact, I've been meaning to talk with you about it for several months, just been dragging my heels. But finally, in February, a couple of things happened that convinced me it's time to start. And one of them was a viral blog post called Something Big is Happening. I did post it here. I don't know if you saw it, but a lot of people saw it. I think after the first week that it was posted, there were like 80 million views worldwide. And in it, it's a pretty provocative, perhaps even alarmist message about how AI is going to transform our jobs, our careers, society as a whole. Now, you can either agree with it or disagree with it, but when I read it, it was like, holy shit. Another thing that happened is that at the start of February, there were two new models, Claude Opus 4.6 and ChatGPT 5.3 Codex. And what was notable about these models is that they were partly built by the AI themselves. And what I mean is that the engineers at Anthropic built an early version of Opus 4.6 and then told the model, improve yourself. And it did by quite a bit. So we now have self-improving AI. And then the last thing is that in mid-February, Anthropic, again, the makers of Claude, released some plugins for Claude Cowork, which is one of their unique tools, in which now the basic Claude Cowork model can act at an expert level in a variety of fields like legal and marketing and transportation. And the effect is that legacy providers of software in those areas, their stock price dropped by like 15-20% because there was this realization that AI is going to disrupt a wide variety of industries out there. So I finally said, okay, I do use ChatGPT, the models, I have been using them since ChatGPT 3.5. I use it for work, for writing code, but I realized that I'm using it at a basic level, right? These things can do far, far more. And in fact, it was this Something Big is Happening blog post which had me realize that unless you're using the most cutting edge models that are usually on paid plans, you really can't assess where all this stuff is going. So I did buy paid plans to Google Gemini and Anthropic Claude as well. Let's start with the first question. Is AI overhyped? And yes and no. So first of all, no, these really are powerful tools. And again, if you're not using the latest and greatest and you're not pushing their capabilities, it's easy to not appreciate how much they really can do. Most people now seem to think, most experts seem to think that the next couple of years that what work is going to look like is a person working in conjunction with one or more AI tools. The amount of work that's done just by a person or just by an AI is going to be kind of at the margins. Most of what we're going to be doing is going to have that partnership. These really are powerful. I'll show you that later on in this video series. But yeah, in some sense, it is overhyped because I think there's this narrative that these are magical tools. You just type in a prompt and you get some amazing results back. And no, you can really get a lot of terrible results if you don't have the skills to use these things correctly. And some of those skills I'll be introducing you to in this series, but just understand that if you've had some bad experiences or you've heard of some poor results or what is this about hallucinations and so forth, there are some problems with the model, sure, but a lot of that is due to operator error. So I have a couple of goals for this particular series. And number one is I want you to get away from using these tools as replacements for Google. Now, many people just basically use it. They type in a question to ChatGPT, they get a response, maybe a follow-up question, and I'm glad that you're using it for that, but these things can do far, far more than that. And so this video series will introduce you to that. I do want to introduce you to other tools. There's certainly more out there than ChatGPT. I mentioned Claude and Gemini and so forth. But even outside those chatbots, there's Notebook LM. There's all sorts of tools that are specialty tools that can do a lot more. I also want to bring you up to speed with the latest and greatest, and that just keeps improving from month to month so that you know where we are right now. And then you can make an informed assessment on how these tools will change your career, your job, and even your life in general. Now, even though I work in AI and I use these tools a lot, I still have a lot of anxiety around them. You know, there's so many news articles out there, and you hear people talking at the proverbial cocktail party and so forth. And you're probably feeling some anxiety too. So I want one of the things from this video series is to alleviate that. And that will be through seeing what it can do, coming up with the terminology. So that's one of the big things I want for myself as well, is to reduce the anxiety and even get a little bit excited about where all this is heading. Now, obviously, I am going to show you some ways that these things can be used, both at your work, but also in your private life as well. I'll give you some background information, but this isn't going to be like a step-by-step tutorial about here's how you do this, do this, do this, do this. I just don't think social media is really the best format for that. So I will be probably releasing videos maybe every 2 to 3 days. I'm going to try to keep them short like this. I have an idea of topics, but please let me know in the comments section whether you're enjoying these videos, getting anything out of them, what you'd like to see, because your feedback will probably play a major role in how I steer these things. So that's it. Be on the lookout for lots of videos from me as we start to explore AI and what's possible. I hope you're excited. I'm excited to finally get started on this series. I'll see you in the next one.